Mason,
Yeah, bud.
you ready for a story?
It's been a while, so hopefully it's something new.
It's actually not. You were there. This is a story of kind of how we started doing the weekly show. So it was a little over a year ago. I was talking to Mason one day. We were talking about making content, and there was a guy that you were working with on making content. He was moving away, so you're like, hey, like, it kind of sucks that this is happening. I felt like I was getting in a groove, and I was like, dude, I've been talking to people about doing this, so how about we think about brainstorming that together? Seemed like we started to get an idea. I had an appointment to go to, and then I think I called, like, from my perspective, I called you while I was driving there, and I felt like I had the whole thing laid out in my head, and I'm pretty sure on your end of the phone, it's like, he probably just talked at me for like 15, 30 minutes, but and we kind of came up with the idea as far as what we were going to do with a weekly show with the podcast. And then we had two other guys that were going to do it with us, but we had kind of made the commitment with each other to say, hey, let's do it for a year. We're going to make a commitment to doing the podcast for a year. We'll see what happens. We'll reevaluate at that point. So this is the essentially 1 year mark since we started doing our what we call the weekly show. So
To date, like the 27th?
no, it's the 18th,
Okay.
my birthday.
Oh.
So yeah, passed it by just a little bit. But so just like when I thought back to everything, I like obviously podcast is not polished. Everyone who listens, and we thank you for whoever does. Like it's not been polished. We've had a lot of rough ones, some very, very rough ones,
And
but
we're still trying to figure out.
yeah. And we feel like we're getting a direction, so that kind of leads me into as far as we talked about, and then everyone will see that our publishing of episodes is going to go to like twice a month, so people will start seeing that in December. And then in January, we're actually going to be bringing a third person on for some of our episodes, and then we're going to try and do a guest once a month. So that's what we've got as we move into 2024. But just to kind of look back real quickly, we had 52 weeks that we were trying to record on. We had podcasts released 45 out of 52 weeks, so all but 7.
That's not bad.
I'm pretty happy with that. And then we had 10 guests in the last year. So I'm pretty happy with that as well, because I think we had a couple stretches where we didn't have any guests or anything like that, but very happy with how everything went. So thank you to the people who do listen to this. We appreciate it. And we've got stuff coming that we're going to...
Or the people who at least click play and do something else.
Yes. We appreciate those people too. We've got some stuff that we've been working on. We are trying to just get better at this. So hopefully you guys will see that in the next couple weeks, and then how we do that rolling into 2024. But that's kind of the story of the podcast. And then we also we had a new highest viewed podcast. We set the record a couple years ago. It was published for 2 years, and then the recent one, we had a guest, Dave Walworth, on, and within 10 days he had matched and then broken our top viewerships. I think it's at 97 views right now. So
Big money.
no money, but we appreciate everyone who checked it out. So, but we have been on a roll with guests.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have had a weekly show where it's just you and me in quite a while. So,
And I guess we'll find out if they prefer that or not.
well, all the stats say they do.
Yeah.
But what's been happening in the last couple of weeks?
As we were talking about before, I live quite a boring life. Not a lot has happened. But I mean, Thanksgiving was here. And then also comes with Thanksgiving is fall break with the kids and the wife. They're all home, which I love sometimes, which is nice. But yeah, this makes life a little more not difficult, but to work and do everything when everybody's at home. We hosted Thanksgiving this year at our new house.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, the house isn't fully done yet and stuff, but it was nice not to have to go to three different places.
Yeah.
That's what we usually do.
Yeah.
is we end up going to like 2 or 3 different places.
My wife was working, and so her parents were both out of town, and I was like, sweet.
Oh, perfect. So she works. So does that mean she gets Christmas off?
No, so they alternate holidays, but the way that works is then she gets Christmas Eve off.
Oh, okay.
So she'll get Christmas Eve off and then New Year's off, but that means she has to work Thanksgiving and then Christmas.
And then it switches next year, essentially.
I hope so.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. But yeah, I mean, we did our annual pie deliveries last week to all our past clients. I forget how much. I think we delivered over 300 pies in 2 days.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of pies. We had a lot of people help doing the deliveries. But yeah, that was cool. Everybody always appreciates those. Plus, they're Costco pies,
Yeah.
apple pies, so they're usually pretty good,
Yep.
which is good. But yeah, I mean, sorry for smacking my lips so much, but that's been the highlight of my 2 weeks, believe it or not. Although the kids are excited for, we do, probably like everybody else, the Elf on the Shelf.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know why. Some people hate it. Parents just
Never
hate
did it as a kid.
Me neither. This is a brand new thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know about it until we started doing it.
Yeah.
But I guess a lot of parents hate it. I don't know why. Maybe it's just good. Do you know how it works?
You got to move it every night, and they got to find it. And
Yeah,
the
there's
whole
like
thing is like they're watching the kids for Santa.
Yeah, there's a book, like he sends the elf to watch them to make sure they're good and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got it for our oldest. He's now 9. Believe it or not, he still believes in Santa. At least he pretends to us. So
Do you want me to come over and just burst that bubble real quick?
No, dude. It's almost. Oh, wait, dude. Holidays are way better when they believe in that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but how long are you going to let this go?
As long as he can.
That's messed up.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's going to get busted this year.
It better.
From the kids at school.
I hope so.
Why? What's wrong with them?
You need to be upfront and honest with those kids from day one.
Why?
Because otherwise they're going to start wondering what else you're lying to them about.
A lot. Yeah, better get used to it. No, but it's cool because, I mean, they read a book or whatever, and then they named it. So our elf was called Pumpkin. Because our oldest was still is a big Halloween fan.
Mm-hmm.
So now Pumpkin the elf is coming.
That's hilarious. I'm going to move the camera. Shaky.
Oh, I probably keep shaking it.
No, you keep sliding out of the frame.
Yeah, okay. So Pumpkin's coming, which kids are excited. The younger one likes it too. He's, how old is he? 6? Yeah, 6.
Well, that makes a little more sense.
Yeah.
Gotta keep the shamrock in the frame.
Yeah. If you ever have kids, I'm going to.
Oh, we
Later down the road,
we
I'm gonna
can't do
quiz it.
Santa.
Why?
Last name Claus, it gets too bad. Just no.
What did your family do for you?
Santa doesn't exist.
Oh. From
Like-
day one, it was just you?
Yeah, there's no Santa, just it's
That explains a lot from you, though. You're a weird cookie.
sure.
Well, yeah, that is my exciting life over the past 2 weeks. I feel like you've had a lot more eventful.
Yeah. Wife's birthday was beginning of this month, so we went to Flagstaff.
You guys have the birthday in the same month?
Yeah, it's a little annoying.
Oh, side note, apparently I don't know how to address to apartments. That's why I got it sent back to me.
Oh, what'd you send me?
I didn't send you anything.
What'd you send my wife?
Well, I'm just going to have to figure out how to readdress it.
Okay.
And then she'll find out. If
How
she
about
wants
you
to tell
just
you, she
give it
wants
to
to
me?
tell you. That's a good idea, too.
What?
I also want to figure out how to do it because I think two of them got sent back because I didn't know how to address an apartment building or
What
some
is
shit.
it?
It's a card.
With what in it?
Why are you so? Do you have something you should be worried about? Is that why?
No, I just have realized over the years that I don't do well with waiting for presents.
It's probably because you didn't believe in Santa.
Sure.
Santa Claus teaches kids a lot.
Yeah, I don't think
No,
so.
it doesn't. They need presents. Oh, that was what I was gonna say. This year we did a cool thing where Pumpkin the Elf is coming with a list for them to give to Santa. Instead of them making 100 lists of all the items they want, it's like things I want to read, things I need, things I want.
There we
my
go.
number one places out, and it's
Yeah.
like it's 5 different categories. You can put 4 things on there.
That's a cool idea. Though.
Yeah, so it's because it can get overwhelmed with all
yeah.
the shit. Like they don't need all that stuff, dude.
My parents had a budget when we were growing up, and I forget what age I figured out what the budget was. But then I would start playing to the budget. So there was one year, and they figured out what I did. But my mom and dad would ask for a list for Christmas, what we wanted, and then my grandparents obviously would do the same thing. I sent my mom one list because I knew the budget. I sent my grandmother the other list because I had a rough idea of the budget. And so I got all the presents from my mom and dad. Cool. Yeah, checking them off the box. There was only one that I think was overlapping between the two. So I went over to my grandparents' house, and one of them was, it had a tempo timer for swimming. It was underwater. So I brought over like a swim cap because I wanted to test out what it felt like. So after I opened the present up, I pulled a swim cap out of my pocket and tried it on. And they're like, "You knew you were getting that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they started talking. They put it together that I knew everything that essentially I was getting. And they're like, "You're not doing that again."
That's smart. I mean, my
Yeah.
kids already know that. They go to Nana for
Yeah.
the big gifts. 'Cause my mother-in-law, like, she got them iPads one year.
Oh,
Granted,
dear
they were refurbished and stuff.
Yeah.
And it is nice to have, but it's just like, now they know that, like, they go to Nana for that shit.
Yeah. Well, my parents' whole gift budget was like $75 per kid, which for us back then, it's like, oh,
This day
that
and
was a lot of
age,
money.
yeah.
Yeah, right. But now, like, when just talking to my wife about some of the stuff that they would do for Christmas or the different, like, for me, in my mind, I was like, hey, we're going to set a budget for each other for Christmas or birthdays or stuff like that, right? And she's like, well, what do you mean? Like, how much are you thinking? I'm like, $100 or less. And she's like, no, absolutely not. And I'm like, how much money are we spending on this?
Yeah.
So,
No, yeah, people do. You'll find that out. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, like my side of the family just be like, you got every single one of the kids a gift. It wasn't like a because we had lots of cousins and stuff like that too, so that it would add up a lot.
yeah.
This year we have
started
a budget
doing like
too.
a Secret Santa, or not a Secret Santa, a white elephant where everyone brings a gift card and has like a funny gift attached to it. So that way it's like a $15 limit essentially. So you're not buying 40 people a present and just going bankrupt every December.
Yeah. Well, I mean, shoot, yeah, 40 people times $100.
Oh yeah,
That's a pretty penny.
yeah. You'd be saving all year. So, but we had wife's birthday. Went up to Flagstaff. We did like an Airbnb up there. It was pretty cool because it was in a little bit of a rural area. So
Didn't you also try to do a construction job? Or is that separate?
what, up north?
Yeah. Was
Oh
that
yeah, I did it.
during her birthday?
Oh no.
Oh,
No.
okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. Because this was the last minute. You originally told her no.
For
and
what,
then,
Flagstaff?
Yeah, and then you booked it last minute. So you
Yeah.
look like a savior.
Yeah, well, originally.
Smart move. You knew the whole time you were going to do it, but you said no.
No, well,
Establish dominance, and then you got it for her anyways.
not exactly. It was a little cheaper last minute, so it's like, all right, we'll pull the trigger on it. We still spent a lot of money on her birthday. So, but yeah, I did have a project up in Munns Park, which is just outside of Flagstaff, that I did recently. And then more people, or the guy who I did it for, he's been referring me to a lot of people. So that's been cool. So I've had a lot of job walks recently, which I was nervous that things were going to slow down on the Cyto side going into the end of the year, but we're doing pretty solid with the stuff we're booked out with right now. Speaking of which, painted your plate, painted the project at your place. Wrapped that up on my birthday.
Yeah, thank you for that.
And then speaking of my birthday, something crazy happened. So I was going to go to dinner with the wife and a couple friends, and then we were going to go out to play Topgolf after. And there's this barbecue place that I love off of Greenway Parkway and Cave Creek called Heck Yeah Barbecue. And We got there, ordered, we get our food, and 5 minutes into us eating, all of a sudden we hear a car crash outside. So two of the guys pop up from the table. They run right outside. I thought, okay, like, did someone hit one of our cars? I'm running outside thinking we're going to fight or, bless you, chase down whoever did this. I get, like, so I'm third one out the door. When I look around to see what happened, our cars are fine. I look over, and Joe is on the phone with 911. One of the other guys is over by a motorcyclist who's down on the ground, probably a good, I don't know how many feet, like 50 to 100 feet away from the car that hit him, and rolling him over. Dude is in a gnarly condition as far as if we're going to get into some of the details real quickly, so fast forward real quick if you don't want to hear. Part of the dude's finger was pretty mangled from when he got thrown from his motorcycle. He was bleeding pretty bad, and then he was in and out of consciousness, and sometimes when he'd come back from being passed out, he would try and like get up off the ground or take his helmet off. So there are people telling him like, do not move, like stay there, don't take your helmet off, all kinds of stuff like that. So three of the people who were at dinner, they were hands-on with the guy, just trying to tell him like, hey, don't move, like we know you're in a lot of pain. So he's in and out. Paramedics ended up showing up. They were able to get him out of there. We found out later that the guy did pass away, like before he got to the hospital.
Yeah.
So we went and like we found that out when we were grabbing dessert at Dairy Queen. So it kind of like threw a damper on that a little bit. But the night, like we didn't know the guy or anything like that. But it was just like we had
What'd you order from Dairy Queen?
Chocolate Extreme.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think it was good that like we ended up going to Topgolf afterward, just so that wasn't the last thing of the night that stuck in everyone's brain.
Yeah.
So we had a great time. Like it was a good birthday, and it wasn't like, it was very sad for that guy's family, all that good stuff. But it was just good that we kind of were able to get that out of our system rather than having that just stick. So yeah. And then Thanksgiving this last week, went down to Tucson, saw my aunt and uncle down there.
Your family lives down there?
Yeah.
Oh.
So aunt and uncle and cousins are down there. So my dad's side of the family usually goes down there for the day or for the weekend, and visited with them, had a good time, and then came back and did some work Friday and Saturday, and yeah.
Nice. You killed a guy. Your birthday.
I did not kill a guy. There was someone else who did that, and yeah, it's very.
Damn,
yeah,
too
that's
bad
very
you
sad.
didn't live, because then you could, Joe and them could have put on their resume that they saved somebody's life.
Right. Yeah. So, it was. Yeah, that was a little. Not to throw a damper on the podcast or anything.
Yeah, that's like extreme birthday.
Yeah. So, but. Anyways.
I'm glad you had a good birthday.
Yeah, me too.
25?
6.
26.
Yeah.
Getting old, dude, almost 30.
I know. Getting closer. So, all right, we ready?
Yeah. Let's get fucking hammered.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sledgehammers in the Office podcast, where we celebrate the heavy hitters on the job site and in the office. Today, I'm joined by Mason Oxendale. What are we drinking?
Some Mio Energy from Freddy's Cup.
And as always, the Shamrock Farms chocolate milk, the whole milk, because it is the tastiest. Some things that we wanted to go over tonight. We have our numbers that we typically go over with the Arizona real estate market, some of the things we track with building materials. And we're going to be comparing these, since it is kind of like our anniversary episode from the last time I believe we had our numbers, which was in August, and then the first time we started tracking these numbers, which was November of last year. So right now, this is going to give you guys a snapshot of what we're looking at in the greater Phoenix area with active homes, how many have closed in the last 30 days, where's the interest rate right now, and then some of our materials. So currently, there are 11,808 homes on the MLS. That is going to be up, 3,553 from August. Since last year, that number is down 4,067. So we had roughly 8,000 homes active on the market in August. We had about 16,000 on the 15 to 16,000 active on the market in November of last year. Closed in the last 30 days since August, we have seen that number come down 864. Since last year, we've seen that come down 821. So August compared to November of last year, relatively steady with those numbers, and that's where we saw the difference. Interest rate, I don't think I grabbed the difference from last year on that one, but I think we're sitting in the 7s right now, and last year we were sitting, I believe, high 5s.
Yeah.
2x4s. 318, that's down 33 cents from last year. Plywood is 1628, that's down 82 cents from last year. Those numbers have stayed pretty freaking steady for the most part, except for I'd say the plywood. That's the only one that's bounced around. So the only thing I really wanted to mention on this is a lot of people talk about, oh, construction materials are going up. It's getting so expensive. Some construction materials are going up. They're getting very expensive. That is absolutely true. We're seeing some things where price went up, never came back down. But 2x4s and plywood, it seems to be approximately what it was before everything started going crazy in 2020. 1/2-inch, 10-foot copper pipe, that's down from August. We weren't tracking that last year. It's at $26.42. Reason why we track that is to see what are the metal prices and the copper prices specifically. So before we kind of get into the real meat and potatoes of this episode, tonight we're going to be kind of focusing on what did the real estate market look like in this last year? What is it looking like right now? Obviously, at Thanksgiving, I had conversations about the economy, real estate. More people are going to be having those things with family as they head into Christmas. We want to give you guys, here's some notes of what's actually going on. There's a lot of headlines in the news, but we like to have the numbers to be able to kind of track those things. So next week, we're going to talk about the contracting side.
Mm-hmm.
We've got something very special for you guys.
Special.
Big announcement.
Huge announcement.
I've been waiting for this for quite a while.
Long time.
So we're going to save that till then. But for tonight, we're going to get into some of the real estate stuff, try and go over that, give you guys some talking points so you sound educated at your Christmas dinners. All right, where do we want to start on this?
We could start with your favorite median purchase price.
All right. Median purchase price. This is going to be, as far as for single family homes, there's certain metrics that are going to go off of if it's everything sold on the MLS. The one that we track is single family homes because that's the one people care about the most. The median purchase price for September, and obviously there's a lag time on when they calculate these. For September, it was $496,000. And we can compare that to August, which was $500,000, so only down $4,000. That doesn't usually give us too big of an indicator unless it starts to be a trend where it's really sliding. What we would compare that to is the comparison I would use in this case is going to be January of this year, 2023, where we saw the median purchase price at $460,000. So if we were to go to May of 2022, where we saw it at the peak, $540,000, it dropped down to $460,000 approximately in January of this year, and right now we're sitting at $496,000. So any thoughts on the median purchase price for single-family homes currently where we're at?
No. Like the argument we always get in, like, this isn't what it costs to get inside of a single-family home. This is just a good way to gauge the direction that the prices of homes are going. From being inside of it, it's pretty accurate. Obviously we haven't caught up to the May 22 peak at 522
540
or 540. But it's come down. Obviously we knew it was coming down, right? So it looks, the real estate market, has this ebbs and flows, so it's not going to go straight up and then come straight down it's going to be rocky.
Yep.
Up and down. But we hit the slide point. We've gone up, down a little bit. Looks like we're going back up. So the market seems like it's going back to normal. Now I do think that May 2022 price is going to not allow it to get down to what it was, prior to 2020, where you could buy, I wonder what the median home price was back then, like 2015, 17. But it's not going to be
I know we
there.
looked at it earlier this year.
Yeah,
but I
we
forgot.
did. But I mean, that spike is obviously going to just naturally, the price of a home in Arizona is just going to be more expensive.
Yeah, one of the other numbers that we saw in the journal that we pulled this from is that they're estimating that I believe it's another 70,000 people are being added to the population in Arizona over the last, and this is for this year, and then it's just been repeating. One of the big things for me is when I look at the numbers right here, is to just say, as far as this seems to indicate to me that there's a strength inside the real estate market, that prices aren't falling off a cliff. We're seeing that interest rates are high. People are still buying. We saw that the close numbers are down, but up until, what was it, up through August, when that's the last time we were tracking it personally, everything was pretty solid. So things haven't fallen off a cliff. We have seen an adjustment in reaction to the interest rates, which makes perfect sense. But that just indicates to me it's like everything's not falling off a cliff at the moment.
Exactly. And we're in the time of the year, the holiday season, where people just, they might have their house on the market, they take it off because they don't want, the hassle of trying to sell it during the holidays, finding a new place to live during the holidays. So you do tend to see these numbers drop
Yep.
through the months of November and December.
Yep.
And then pick back up in January, February, March, especially when people are getting those tax refunds back.
Yeah. Something to the price point that I did want to kind of point out is that when we're looking at some of those numbers, 44% of the transactions on these homes did have some kind of seller concessions. So that's going to be where the sellers might be paying for helping with closing costs or something of that nature. And that'd be something that is negotiated in the whole process. But that can range pretty wildly from under $1,000 to over $50,000, depending on the price point of the house, depending on the condition of the house, depending on the urgency for the buyer and seller, all kinds of things like that. So, but when we're looking at almost half of the transactions are having some kind of concessions, that does make it where these numbers that we're looking at, if it's the 496, it's not a true 496 just because there is some kind of cash that is going towards the buyer to help them out in the purchasing process.
Yeah, $5,000-$10,000 less.
Yeah, which the other side of that too is a big part of what has helped us keep things going inside of the real estate market as well.
And also too, especially down here in Arizona, the new build market. I mean, new builds are going up like crazy right now. So with the inventory numbers, in other states where there's not a lot of building going on, or they don't have a lot of land that they can build on, unlike out here in Arizona, is that like they're just building more and more homes. So that's another indicator our inventory is going up just because of the new builds.
Right.
Because most new builds don't go on the active MLS where we pull a lot of these numbers and stuff. But once it's built, they do go on the MLS. So quite a big handful, are incorporated in these numbers.
Yeah. To that point, my uncle Steve Cameron, he was on the podcast earlier this year along with his business partner Gordon Henderson. He was on in August, and Steve was telling me when we're down in Tucson that their business is doing great because the new builds are doing fantastic. And a big part of that is because of the interest rates are lower, whether that means that the home manufacturers, holy crap, are
home builders.
Yes, are helping out with closing costs. If it's just seller concessions to help buy down the rate, whatever it is, because I think we even had some of these builders come in here and advertising rates for, was it 5.5?
Yeah, 5 point. It all depends on what the current interest rate is, obviously, because they're buying back points. But I think we've seen it all the way up to like 5.49%.
Right. And when people can affect their monthly payment by over $500, it's you've got a lot of people who start saying, I might make that drive.
Yep, your interest rate is going to be way more of a significant help you get that monthly payment down versus putting more money down on the home.
Yep.
So that is a big thing because also makes the higher interest rates. Somebody that might in a 5% might be able to afford a $600,000 house, but at a 7.5% interest rate, their buying power goes down quite a bit.
Yep.
So
And we talk about that rule of thumb that when you're looking at the monthly payment, if we were to take a $400,000 house at a 4% interest rate, for every percent that goes up, it would be like leaving that interest rate the same and adding $35,000 to the purchase price.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, if we were to go apples to apples, the person who got a loan for $400,000 when things were at 4% they would be able to pay. I think I screwed this up. The person who has a 4% interest rate would be paying the same monthly as someone who's got 120, was it? No, sorry, 3%, $90,000 less ish, $100,000 less in a loan. So it's like a $400,000 to a $300,000 loan. That's the difference right there to keep that monthly payment the same.
Exactly.
And that's a lot of house. That's going from you can't buy a single family home in most parts of the greater Phoenix area to you are able to buy a couple, you'd be able to afford a couple options that are out there.
yeah, you have way more options right now.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I was going to say something and I totally forgot. It had something to do with what you were talking about, but must not have been that important.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I know you prepped several notes and you've got a chart printed out over there. Is there anything?
Oh yeah, these are just the MLS numbers. We were going over them. I mean, so these numbers incorporate single-family townhomes, condos, patio homes, even mobile homes. Because I've also seen that over the past couple of years. Obviously, because you're now allowed to, as a real estate agent, help buy and sell mobile homes, especially if they're on leased properties and part of those communities. But a lot more and more people are kind of going into that area, especially retired communities. But so they're kind of similar to what the numbers that we have tracked. Last year's median price was $452, and this year it's about $430. So it's got about a 5% decrease. Also, numbers sold. Last year we sold almost 80,000 homes on the MLS. This year we're just above 66,000. So about a 18% drop in it, which 2023 was the year of the 7% interest rates. So, it makes sense. Less people are going to buy with these higher interest rates because, with the salaries and stuff of people aren't really following the inflation right now.
Right.
So higher the interest rate, less you can afford. Like we said, if you can't afford something in the 400s, you're not going to be looking for much unless it's like a condo or something like that. So
another number, I don't know if you've got it in front of you, was how many homes sold last year?
almost 80,000.
Okay, and then how many homes sold this year?
66 plus.
Okay, because we still have another month for everything to close.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're even just looking at 66 divided by 11, we're at 6,000 homes. So we're probably ending at 72 versus 80 some.
Versus 79.
72 versus
Probably
79.
closer to 70. Because this week, I believe this week, let me pull up my numbers, which are a little bit different from yours. But only, we're getting through the holiday season. So 2 weeks ago, there was over 1,000 homes sold.
Mm-hmm.
But this past week, of course, it's Thanksgiving weekend.
Short week.
Yep, 660 closed.
Right.
So about 800 a week. What do we have? 7 weeks left? 6 weeks left of the year?
I think it's like 5.
Is it 5?
It's 5 or 6.
Yeah, times 8. 6 times 8. 48. 48 plus 66.
Yeah, so we're looking at 70.
About 71, yeah, 70, 71.
And then last year was?
79.
Cool. So, in terms of the argument that people are always putting out there as far as, oh, things have slowed down by a lot, we're looking at a difference of like 11%. 11% is a lot, but at the same time, let's not pretend that the whole thing is sliding off a cliff. That's still a significant number in regards to how many homes are selling or have sold throughout this year. And that has been even with, at the beginning of the year, we were being told, oh, don't worry, that interest rate is going to come down second, third quarter. Oh, wait, well, we're going into second quarter, it looks the same. It looks like maybe third quarter it's coming down. Oh, well, it looks like this might actually be here to stay for a little bit. So, all those people that are my favorite.
Yeah, let's see. It has been. What was the highest interest rate it got? Did it get up to 8%, like 7.9 at one point?
That sounds right. Depends on.
Yeah, we got to 7.9.
Nice.
The last time we had interest rates that high for a 30-year was August 21st, 2000.
Nice. 23 years.
23 years since we've had it that high.
Yeah, good for us.
Yeah. Granted, I mean.
And to that point, real quick, while I know there's a lot of people who are like, well, I bought my house back then and that's the interest rate I had, or you get the grandparents who are like, well, I bought my house back when it was a 14% interest rate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The price of the home was a lot different. And when we look at the way that people buy these things, they don't buy these homes with the same percentage of their income. They're maxing out their income to be able to afford these things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the same just because, it went from 3 to 7, you should be able to afford it because I afforded it back in the day. It's like, that's not how this works.
Yeah, exactly. So we're also speaking to people who do, that's just what people do now.
Yep.
Like we tell people, like marry the house, date the interest rate. You're buying the house because it fits exactly what you want, located where you want, it has everything you need, and you're in there, longer term than, living there in a rental home for 1 to 2 years.
Right.
So it's like at that point too, people need to be educated on how to properly spend their money.
Yeah, which I feel like that brings us to something we talked about beforehand, that there's 3 kinds of people that we had some advice for. As far as there's people who are saying, buy now because even though if you can get into something you can afford, even if it's rough, when that interest rate comes down, you'll be able to refi and everything's fine. Then you've got other people who are like, no, hold out because it doesn't make sense. It'll eventually come back down and then you can buy a house. And there's the people who are doing the 1 or 2 year buy down. Mm-hmm. So we kind of wanted to walk through for all 3 of those real quickly. For the people who are looking to buy now, make sure you can afford it.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to see people getting into homes they can't afford or they're trying to rush into things. So it's just make sure the numbers are correct. As far as the same thing we talk about all the time is, does it make sense for you, your family? Can you afford it? And go from there.
Can you afford it? Can you afford it versus do you really want to pay that much? If you can afford it and wait out the interest rate and refinance, then that might be an option for you. But if you're, scraping the bottom of the barrel to pay your mortgage payment every month and you want to do that for only a couple of months until the interest rate drops, there's so many things that have to go your way. The interest rate actually has to drop. Everybody was saying it was going to drop last summer, and it actually went up.
Yep.
And then not to mention too, can't predict the future. Interest rates go down. What if the price of your home goes down a little bit too? In order to refinance, you got to have money in it. Mm-hmm. You can't, unless you have money to make up for that difference.
Right.
So there's a bunch of ways it has to fall for you.
And we're assuming that if you're getting into a house where it's a little tight on your budget, you probably don't have that money in the first place.
Yes, exactly.
So, and then we'll get to the people where it's the holdout people, where it's like, hey, we're going to hold out until the interest rates drop. If you're doing that, please make sure that you are stacking cash in the time being. Yes. Rental prices are
up there.
They're up there, but in comparison to buying a house, obviously they're lower. So please be putting away the money to be saving for a great down payment or even just to have that cash on hand. Because like we saw in 2020 and 2021, a lot of people were coming in with cash on top of the purchase price to be able to be first in line for those homes. So if you're out there spending all that money, just waiting for it to come down and I'll put down my 5 or 3% down payment, it's like you might get thrown to the back of the line because you didn't do what you needed to do in the time that you were waiting.
Exactly. I mean, like even so, this is so $2,200 a month is, a fair price for a rental house right now.
I think that's roughly the average.
Probably even a little bit more to get something nicer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're gonna say wait, like this goes to your point of make sure you're saving money, because if you wait an entire 12 months, 26 grand is how much you spent that year in your rental house.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's why we said if it's if you can get a house with a mortgage around there,
Which you can't.
yeah, it's hard.
You can't.
You can.
As long as you have a big enough down
Yeah,
payment.
there you go. So yeah, like I don't. It's hard because it's like we've got to preach financial responsibility to people.
Who
'Cause,
don't want to
yeah.
hear.
Because I'm not going to sit here and make these fucking Instagram videos. I've said, my bad. That's the second time I said the F word. Saying, oh hey, it's the time to buy. Clickbaity things.
Yep.
Yeah, of course I want to sell houses. That's how I make a living. But I'm not going to make up some bullshit about like, oh hey, this is the time to buy because for sure interest rates are coming down and the values of homes are going up. So you're going to get the best bang for your buck right this second. You got to buy.
And that brings us to our third category of people. Our 1 or 2 year buy down people. Now, I kind of want to set the stage for this because this is something that made me mad. When the interest rates started going up, what was that, 2022? I think it was third quarter, we had a presentation done for the real estate team where they came in and they showed us this big, nice analysis of interest rates over the last, I think it was like 50 years. They started in the 70s where it's like we can compare to the very rapid interest rate hikes, and then we're going to look at every big hike between then and now and look at what this can tell us going forward so we can know. And the big thing that they were trying to push to us is that usually these interest rate spikes go through 2-year cycles. Now, it seemed that this presentation wasn't just given to our team, but seemed to be almost given to every lending team and every realtor that was plugged in with people, because it became one of the big things to do like a 2-1 buy down and adjustable rate for a short period of time, which meant you could buy down your interest rate for 1 year or possibly 2 years. We'll get to that in a second. The people who bought down their interest rate for 1 or 2 years, depending on if they were buying a house in January of 23, if they had a 1 year buy down, their monthly payment for their mortgage is about to go up. I know about someone who's a friend of mine that I was told if the interest rates are staying where they're at, come the anniversary of when they bought their house, it's going to be going up. I believe it's $500 a month.
What's your interest rate? Because it's locked in on what the interest rate was the time they purchased it.
Well, it can go up within like a margin, right? So it's going to go up $500 is essentially the moral of the story. So going back to what we said earlier, and we've talked about a lot of people live at the ends of their budget. And now for some people, that's going to be slapping on an additional $500 or however many $100 on top of that. So we're not lenders, but just as far as if we're just going to take the professional hat off and put the friend hat on, we're not a huge fan of those things because, like Mason said, we were told, we expect that this was all in third quarter 2022. We expect by this time next year, we're going to be seeing interest rates start going back down. What happened? They went up. So if we're actually listening to where this news is coming from in terms of Jerome Powell and people like that, they're waiting for inflation to drop to a certain point before they start reducing that. So now the forecasts are saying that they think it might barely, and by barely I mean less than 1% drop in the next 3 quarters from the quick numbers I took a look at for the interest rate, or we're going to be staying roughly steady for the next year. A lot of that is going to be barring a financial crisis where people would be dropping the interest rates to try and stimulate the economy, but at that point we're dealing with a complete financial crisis, so we're not even going to be addressing that right now.
Can't predict that shit.
Exactly. So that brings us back to we want to avoid these 1 and 2 year buy downs unless you are extremely confident that you can afford that when that time comes, because I know I'm just like most other people. I get in a routine and I like to live in that routine. So if all of a sudden someone comes to me and says, hey, we need an extra $500 a month, that starts to take a bite out of your income very quickly. So that brings us to our kind of final point on this. There are permanent buy downs for your loan. They're not going to be as cheap as the 1 or 2 year buy downs, because obviously this is going to be over a 30-year term, not a 1 or 2 year term, but you can buy down your interest rate for the life of the mortgage. Those are the ones we love because that one is going to make it where you get used to a mortgage payment. It can stay there. If the interest rates do come down and you have the equity, like Mason said, you're going to be able to refinance, get that lower interest rate, and you're good to go. But we don't want to see people's lives just kind of shaken up because there was someone who's like, hey, we're optimistic that something's going to happen. We got to also manage risk in this whole game.
Yeah. Not to mention, if you pay for the buy down yourself, I don't even think the amount that it costs to afford that buy down, I don't even think you're going to essentially pay for it within the first year.
For which one?
For the 1-2 buy down? Mm-hmm. It's like, depending on the house, like $7,500.
Yeah.
So, if you can get the seller to pay for it with some seller concessions.
Right.
But you can also afford the payment without the buy down. The buy down is just a luxury.
Right. And at that point, it's like throw it towards your closing costs, throw it towards something else. Humans are creatures of habit more than anything.
And talk to your lender. Most they know how to use those concessions wisely.
Right. Yes.
They will find any way, because if you don't use it, you lose it.
Right.
So.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's like if we're really putting that friend hat on and saying we're not financial people, we're just the ones who can help get a home, put you in contact with the correct financial people. Let's
exactly
understand what your payment's going to be.
Get somebody, do your
Set
budget,
it, forget it.
Find out how much you make, help somebody figure out what you can afford a month.
Right. All right. Anything else people need to know?
No, I think the moral of the story is that it's not impossible to buy the house. It's not stupid to buy a house right now. Like I said, in renting 1 year renting a house at $2,200, you're wasting $26,000 a year. When if you can afford a house, you can put that towards a house, towards an investment. Whether the value of homes are going down or not, they eventually will go up. What is that called?
Appreciation.
I think I also called it Murphy's Law, but it wasn't right.
Yeah.
Plus, just over the history, values of homes have gone up. So if you plan on being there longer, plus you shouldn't be buying the house that you're going to live in as like a way to make money. Like, oh, I'm buying this house because in 20 years I'm going to sell it and make $120,000 off of it. These people that are making $300,000-$400,000, they accidentally fell into it because they bought a house which they thought was ridiculously overpriced at $150,000.
Yep.
So, but yeah, what you preach, follow the numbers, make your decision that way.
Make sure it makes sense for you and your family. Talk to a professional. And last thing I'd kind of throw on there is understand your spending habits, understand human nature. We get used to something and we live to the ends of those means.
Exactly.
Cool.
Well done.
All right. We're going to wrap it up.
Oh, nice. Short podcast.
Yeah. I think we hit about roughly 50 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. Where can they follow you?
You can follow me on the IG at Mason Oxendale. You know, I'm even thinking about dabbling in TikTok a little bit. Make you do a TikTok dance with me.
Hell no.
Yeah, you will.
I don't need to have those commies seeing me dance on their
Yeah, you do.
social media platform.
Are you allowed to say commies?
Commies?
Yeah.
Why not?
I don't know. What if somebody's offended by it?
They can take me to small claims court.
God damn it, dude, get in trouble now.
All right.
Maybe one day we'll tell that story.
Probably not. You can follow what I'm doing on the construction side at Saito_building. And then I'm trying to be a little bit more active on X. So it's at Sledge in Office for there.
One other podcast I listened to, instead of saying X or Twitter, they just go, you can follow us, formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, on the platform formerly known as Twitter. Yeah. So until next time.
I'd also say a little caveat too is that we're going through, we said in the beginning of the podcast, going through a little bit of a change or a difference, you know, hopefully for the better. So I would say definitely stay tuned, you know, till the end of the year.
Yep.
Because there'll be some changes and hopefully you guys will like it.
Yeah. And
unfortunately, yes, both of us will still be here if that's the change you're looking for. But yes. So until next time.
I hope your hammer stays accurate.
Your Wi-Fi fast.
And you work blessed.
See you, everybody.
Blah, blah.
Sounds like a bubble.
Good enough.
Yeah, I think we hit the big
Hey, should we just tell everyone what the big announcement?
No,
is
no,
right
you
now?
this is just like you want to open a gift.
Yeah, we just
No.
just tell the people.
No, this is
All right, guys. The big announcement is
no.